Spearfinger, a campfire tale. There was a thin line between fear and wind, and on that line stood the old pine grove, where my friends and I kept our annual camp. It wasn't a place you visited to notice the stars, it was a place you visited to forget them. The trees closed in, trunks lacquered with night, and the air carried the taste of copper and pine sap. We were 16, brave in the way only teens can be, certain that every old legend was just a story to scare younger siblings. Then one legend found us. They called it Spearfinger. We learned the name from Grandpa Nestor, who had been the guardian of this land long before the state parks framed it with benches and signage. He visited once a year, with teeth like dried leaves and eyes that glowed faintly under the brim of a weathered hat. He spoke in a whisper that seemed to sink into the ground and rot there, deeper than the roots of the trees. "Spearfinger," he said, staring at the flicker of our campfire, "isn't a creature to be seen with the eyes first. It is a hunger wearing the skin of a woman, a hungry edge reaching out from the trees to draw a living thing into its shadow." We laughed. We should have listened. It started with the whistle of wind through the pines, a sound that wasn't wind at all, but the thin rasp of a blade sliding along bone. We blamed it on the trees, on old branches falling and scraping against each other. The kind of sound that becomes a prankish echo in a child's ear. But as the fire burned down to a bed of orange embers, the forest began to tilt, as if the ground itself whispered to the night, in a language made of moving shadows. The first strange thing happened late that night, after we had dared each other to finish the bottle of cocoa and toast the spooky in the darkness. We had built a ring of stones around the fire, a small circle of heat and protection. A circle that would not admit fear or fear's kin. It's funny how quickly a circle made of stones can feel porous when the unknown stands just beyond it. Lena, who believed every creak in the wood was simply the wind pretending to be a monster, swore she heard someone breathing behind the trees. Not the rustle of leaves or a stray animal, but a heavy, measured breath, like someone who had learned to count breaths as a way to survive. She pressed her hands to the stones and whispered, "If you're real, show yourselves." The breath stopped, and then, almost too quickly to catch, a branch snapped somewhere off to the left in a way that sounded purposeful, as if someone, something, was testing our defenses. "Probably a bear," said Milo, though his voice wobbled as if the word itself might betray him. "Or Spearfinger," I whispered, though I hadn't believed in legends since the first day of kindergarten, when a cartoon dragon seemed more possible than a hungry spirit, with a sharpened spear for a finger. The fire spit sparks, and the embers rose, and in that rising of orange sparks I saw something else, a shadow that didn't cast itself away from the firelight, a shadow that seemed to be wearing a dress of branches and leaves stitched together with a thread of darkness. It stood at the edge of the light, beyond the circle, watching us with a patient, almost curious silence. Its form did not quite touch the ground. It hovered, a silhouette that refused to resolve into any single shape. We held our breath. The night listened. Grandpa Nestor had warned us about listening to fear as if it were a story with a neat ending. Fear, he'd say, grows long and sharp if you feed it with doubt. We fed it. We whispered about the shadow, about the silhouette that wore the forest like a cloak, about the whisper that hinted a purpose behind every rustle. When we finally dared to blink, the shape moved closer, not with haste, but with determination, as though it had chosen us, and would not be distracted from its chosen task. Then came the first touch, soft, cold, almost a memory of a touch, It brushed against the back of Lena's neck as though a cool, invisible finger.